I've been using a laptop as my daily driver for a long time now, and no matter how good the specs on the laptop, I always feel like there's something lacking compared to its desktop equivalent. Well, today I'm going to build my ultimate desktop machine. So what I'm going to do is go over each part of the system and why I chose it, and then you can comment below as to why I chose the wrong part. But let's start with the motherboard. So I went with the MSI TRX40 Pro 10G, and the reason I went with the Pro 10G is because it comes with the 10 gig NIC, which I don't need, but the non 10 gig version wasn't available. So I had to go for the extra $100 or whatever it was to get the 10 gig version. I'm going to do a lot of cutting because this is not an unboxing video. I just want to get the bits out. If I can actually undo sticky tape. So here it is, the TRX40. It's obviously a Threadripper motherboard with TRX in the name. And I'll go through why I chose the CPU when I get to that. But obviously this has a lot of high-end components in it. 8 slots for memory, 4 PCI Express, 4 lanes. We've got a lot to work with on this motherboard, so this is going to be really awesome. Caution, slide the external cap. How do I do that? There's a screw thingy there. Interesting. Open. Oh. Close, 1, 2, 3. You do. So it turns out to get this plate thing off to put the CPU on the motherboard, you actually have to unscrew these Torx screw things, which you don't have to do with a normal AMD or Intel motherboard for sort of the consumer ones. You just lift the little handle, but they can't do that on this. It's all bolted down. And they don't give you one in the box, which is awesome. So if you don't own one, that's going to be fun. But I do, and I'm going to go get it. Okay, I got my Torx thingy. Oh man, that is tight. All right, close. What? Open. Open 3, 2, 1. Huh, it tells you the order to do it in. I was doing in the reverse order. Don't want to break an $800 motherboard. Okay, let's just start by loosening. All right, pops up. All right, let's. Okay. Whoa, hello. That just pops right out there. All right, so we're going to slide this. I think. Let's just lift off. Oh, I see. Oh, interesting. This plastic thing slides right out. I have no idea what I'm doing. I've never done a Threadripper motherboard, Threadripper CPU combo before. We need that combo. Remove. Okay, how? Lift. Whoa, that's insane. That's a lot of pins. That is a lot of pins. Next, we have our Threadripper 3090X. That's right, Threadripper 3090X, which is a 24 core. So why did I go with Threadripper? If you're building the ultimate machine, you'd go the 64 version, but that is insanely expensive. $6,000 for one CPU is crazy. I don't actually need 24 cores even. In fact, there's rumors that there's going to be a 16-core Threadripper coming out soon, but I wasn't going to wait any longer, and you can wait forever for new hardware to come out because there's always something new coming out, so I just decided to do it. But why I went for Threadripper as opposed to the 3090X, which is a 16-core on the AM4 socket, is that the PCIe lanes, which I will explain later why I need so many, but on the 3090X or anything on that line of Ryzen CPUs, is that you only get 24 PCI Express lanes, and that wasn't going to be enough for what I wanted to do. So I went with the Threadripper, which gives you, I think it's 80, I'm not sure exactly, but more than 24. Even 48 would have been enough. Man, this packaging, how do you actually get it out? Is it that sticker? Does that lift up? Do not want to break it. There's got to be some magical way of, oh my gosh. All right, I think I see something. All right, I think I have to cut this sticker. Doesn't seem right. I should have to do that, but aha! All right, here we have it. There's our Threadripper. All right, so unlock. All right, unlock. So unlock and slide out. Yes, that's exactly what you do. Please don't fall. All right. Okay. Good. Just de-static myself and oh, does it stay in this thing? It would make sense. I should read the instructions, but it would make sense that that just slides down in there like that. So good thing I didn't try and take it out of that orange thing. And then that should press down like that, and then it should be all in the right spot. And then this presses down. That looks right to me. I didn't read the instructions, but that looks right. Close. I'll do this in the right order this time. 1. So many pins. It's like I find it hard to believe that they would have just lined up correctly. I guess I'll know when I try and power it on and it doesn't work, that I've lined them up wrong. It's in there. It looks pretty even all around it. It seemed to go in fine. Nothing was pressing on a weird angle or anything. Here's some instructions maybe on how to do it. Oh, look at that. The tool comes with the CPU, with the motherboard. There you go. Oh, that's really easy to do too. Oh, it's even a torque wrench. It clicks when it's done tight enough. Oh, that's awesome. Probably should have opened everything up first. But anyway, it's in. Yeah, that's probably the instructions on how to do that, but I figured it out myself. The stupid way. So, CPU's in. Next, RAM. For RAM, I went with the Trident Z G-Skill. This is 3600 at CL16, 19, 39. I think they're slightly faster at 3600, but it gets really expensive. And I know with Threadripper, anything above 3200 is a little bit of a waste, but I don't know. I think it can sort of use 3600. Any more than that, it really doesn't use it at all. But what I will need to do is look in the motherboard at the order in which you put the RAM sticks, because there usually is a certain order if you're not filling all of the slots. Quick installation. For what? What am I even looking at? MSI motherboard. Quick installation is no good. Let's tell me there's a real manual. It's thick. Okay, RAM. Oh, why do they label them in the stupidest way? I would just go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. No, it's D2, D1, C2, C1, A1, A2, B1, B2. That doesn't make any sense in any order. Just, so then when you're trying to I've got to put in an A3 and C1, doesn't even tell me what order. 4, look at that. That's insane. You've got to do it in B2, A2, C2, and D2, which is the outside second one, or every second one. No, yes, every second one, starting D2, C2, A2, B2. Who came up with this system? All right, so are they even labeled here? No, they're not labeled there so that you might actually be able to do it. You have to go like this and then go, okay, I'm pretty. Oh no, so B2 and A2 is that one, and then so it's the first, second, third, first, third, fifth, sixth, eighth. I can't count. I'm not going to get this right. I got this RAM recently for another machine, and the 32 gig kit, and it's pretty cool. I was very happy with it. All right, it only goes one way. Normally they click both sides. First, that's B2, and then A2. All right, click all the other ones up. And right, now, the next thing I'm going to put in is my M.2 drive. And I've got some Samsung 980 Pro. So these do around, they rated around 5.5 gigabytes a second. But I tested one in this other machine I just built recently, and I was getting 6. So that's pretty awesome. Now, I bought 5 of them. And this motherboard doesn't support 5, not on the motherboard. So the reason is because of this card that it came with, which is going to be awesome. And it's actually the reason I talked about earlier, why I went with Threadripper as opposed to a 5960X. So this is a M.2 expander card where you can put 4 M.2s in here, and then you can RAID 0 them. So at, let's say, 5 gigabytes a second, that's 20 gigabytes a second, but then you've got to take into account the overhead. So I'm hoping to get somewhere between 15 and 18 gigabytes a second. So I'm loading like a massive 4K video in 1 second because of this is a PCI 16. So these M.2 cards, other cards, look like little cards, require 4 PCIe lanes each. So that's 16 PCIe lanes there, plus 4 for that, plus 16 for the graphics card, and you go over the 24. And technically, the other one does actually have, I think it's 16 lanes that talk directly to the CPU, and one of those might be the M.2 for the 3090X. I'm not sure exactly. I didn't want to risk it. I'm not a huge fan of the position of this M.2 drive. That is sitting right under the main or number 1 PCIe slot, which is where the graphics card is going to go. And those graphics cards get hot. So it's going to be blowing a lot of hot air straight down onto the M.2. In the other system I just built, which is just a 3700X, the M.2 drive is in this position, and then the first PCI slot is here, which is good because that means you only have the back. Now, the back of the graphics cards can still get hot, but you're not blowing hot air onto it. Anyway, it is what it is with this one. So I'll do that. Ooh. All right, so yes, as I expected, same as the other. That's not going to come out. There's some sticky, like heat. No, that's not sticky. No, sticky. That's not going to stick to it. But that's just going to be like a thermal pad or something to transfer the heat from this heatsink to the M.2 drive. I called it a card before. It's not a card, it's a drive. They're like a little card, like a little circuit board card. People can't get over how small they are. They're so tiny. Like, I've got hard drives here. I'll show later. Anyway, I've had them for ages, but every time I see them, I'm just amazed. And this is the size. So these are 500 gigabyte ones because it gets quite expensive, and when you're buying 5 of them, and when I've got the other 4 in RAID 0, that's going to give me a 2 terabyte working drive. So this is going to be my boot drive. It's basically just going to have Windows on it and swap, and then that drive will be 2 terabytes of like a working drive. So that's where all the things I'm working on will be. And then I will have just hard drives as long-term storage. That's in. Now, I don't think you then need to screw that down because this holds it down. This is kind of held down anyway. I didn't with the other one either. I just, I don't know, it kind of feels a bit weird. Not, but also, what the heck is going on with this angle? It's backwards. It goes that way. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that holds it down enough. But that doesn't seem right. It went that way, didn't it? Yeah, that's the angle. Because it's got the little springy thing in it. It springs it back up. Surely that doesn't have to be screwed down. It's held down by that thermal pad and these screws here. I don't think we need to do anything else. Cooler. Okay, so for the cooler, I went for the Noctua. It is what's the name of it? NH-U14S TR4-SP3. It's a good name. I think everything should have a name like that. I should name my children like that. This is a big cooler. On the 3700X, I just got the stock AMD cooler, and it just sits on top, and it's like this big. I'm not showing things very well. That is a massive cooler. I didn't realize it was so big. You don't get a sense of the size from the pictures, but that is huge. No wonder they work so well. So why did I go an air cooler and not an AIO? Well, firstly, AI is a lot more expensive. They don't actually work that much better. And now I see why. This is huge. And also, I'm not going to be, or at least I don't plan to be overclocking this anytime soon. And the reason is I don't have a good track record with overclocking. One of the best CPUs for overclocking ever was the Celeron 300. You could just change the multiplier, I believe, from 3 to 4.5 because it was a 100 megahertz bus. Don't quote me on that, but that's how I remember it. And it would just go from 300 megahertz to 450 megahertz. That's a 50% overclock. In today's terms, if you had a Intel i9 5 gigahertz and overclocked it at that ratio, you'd be running it at 7.5 gigahertz. That is just insane amount of overclocking. My mate and I went to a computer swap meet. We bought exactly the same hardware, same CPU. We built the computers. I think he did his a week before. Anyway, I built mine, turn it on, install Windows, running at 300, go into the BIOS, change it, 4.5. No, wouldn't boot. Fiddle around with a few things, managed to get it to boot into Windows, crash. Try again, crash. Put it back to 300, ran perfectly. I just couldn't overclock it. I then had I think I had an Athlon for a while. I didn't even bother trying to overclock those. I don't think those overclocked well at the time. Then again, I could be completely wrong, but I don't think I overclocked it. I then had a Pentium, I think it was Pentium 4. No, not 4. Would have been more than that. May have been, they weren't called i7s then, but it was like a Pentium something, and it was 2.4 gigahertz, and I overclocked that to 3.2. That was good, and that was with my own custom build water cooling, which was awesome because it leaked. It leaked over everything, because I bought like pipes from Bunnings, I think, that were for fish tanks, and a fish tank pump, and and disaster. I did get it to 3.2 gigahertz though, so that's a pretty significant overclock, similar to the Celeron 300. Then I built an i7 6700K. They were supposed to overclock like crazy. 4 gigahertz. I managed to get mine to 4.4, 4.5. And honestly, aside from maybe the 3.2 to 2.4, every time I've overclocked, I can't actually tell the difference when just working. Yeah, I know I can run the benchmarks and go, oh yeah, it's running faster. And look at the actual frequencies and go, look, it's running at 4.5 now. But when I'm using it, I don't feel like it's running faster. And then it'll just crash. And you're just like, I know why it crashed. It crashed because I'm overclocking it. And I just put it back to stock. It doesn't crash. And I don't notice the difference anyway. You mean, if you measured it, like rendering a video or something, you could see, oh yes, it renders 10 seconds faster when I overclock. Anyway, this is 24 cores. I don't think I'm going to need to overclock it for a long time. And so I don't need water cooling. And so I'm not going to use it. And that's much cheaper. And it comes with thermal paste, which I have misplaced. Let me find it. I put it aside so I wouldn't lose it, and I lost it. All right, let's put the thermal gunk on. I never know how much to use. I always use too much, I think, because then if I ever change the cooler, there's gunk everywhere. It's just, I've put too much on. Oh, there it goes. All right, well, it looks pretty good stuff. It's silver in color, so I'm just kind of dabbing it. I think I saw this online somewhere. I want to make sure it does cover it all. I don't want too little, that's for sure. I don't want too much. So what I'll do is I'll put the cooler on, I'll wiggle it around a bit. I've already put too much on, I can tell. That's just, you've put too much on. That's too much. Stop. That's too much. All right, let's try this. We'll stick this on. Now, is there a particular way? Fans, we want them blowing that way. Yes, so we want them blowing it out. So we're just going to drop this on. Boy, it almost touches the oh, that is so close. All right, so I'm going to wiggle it. Wiggle, 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 wiggle. That's weird. And then try and get it off again. Yeah, no, that's what it's called, because it like suctions itself to the thing with the thermal paste. Ugh. Yeah. All right, look at that. What do you reckon? You put enough on? See how much went on the cooler? Not add any more, but just spread it around a bit. So I will add a bit more because I just did it too much. There's a lot of excess like space around it, so it's not like it's going to drip onto the motherboard. All right, so that's like there's some on, and then when I press down, definitely going to be enough. There's heaps on there. I'm going to spread some of that around. This is entertaining. Very entertaining. Well, it's covered all over the CPU. It's not all over this, but I do want to allow some space for it. And it's all over my fingers. That's where it's all over. Ugh. All right. I'm going to clean my hands. Warning, do not come in contact with skin. All right, so fans facing the right way. We drop this behemoth of a cooler on there and line up those screws so that we can, yes, and on that side, all right, lined up, yes, okay, all right, so we're all lined up. Now, the cooler came with the tool that you need to screw it in. But how? Like, I can't. It doesn't fit the side. That's done. It's almost as if you have to do it with the fan off. I reckon you do. I reckon you have to take the fans off. Alright, this cooler actually only came with one fan. I bought another one. Alright, that's going to be a lot easier. Let's do some of this side first. Whoa, it's lifting. Spring loaded, like it, and you tie it up. Get this one off. Sound you want to hear? Alright. This up. Alright, so the screws are in place, but it's actually the springs that push it down onto the CPU, and it's a certain amount of tension, so it's not too much. Now, that way. Put on the same one that was on before. There we go. Already damaged. Rotate this around. Wow, that is heavy. That is insanely heavy. Oh man, you would not want to drop that computer. So just snap the motherboard in half. All right. So yeah, so that's got to go that way, which means it's got to go that way. That can't be right. That way. I did engineering. I can put a fan on a heatsink. Do I? Oh, that's not across enough. It goes there. It didn't feel right. That's causing big problems. The fins. Fans on. Wow, that is a millimeter. You can't really see. I don't know if I can get it close enough. I'll try. You see that? No, you can't see. But I'm telling you, it's about a millimeter away from the RAM on that side. And good thing they're just heat sinks, it's not actually the chips, because I would not like anything electrical to be that close to metal things. Not that it really matters. Okay, so that would plug on. Oh gosh, it's too long. These cables, that's ugly. Plugged onto there. Okay, we are ready to stick this into a case, plug in some power, put a graphics card in. Wow, that graphics card's going to be right next to it as well. I hope it doesn't have much of a backplate. We might be sticking in this one. Ooh, interesting. And power it up. So, next thing is the case. So the case I got is the Lian. It's good. Lian. Oh, I don't even know how to say it. Lian Li? It is Lian Li. It just sounded weird saying Lian. Lian Li Cool Mesh 2. This is so cool. Man, I remember building computers when you would have to put in your DVD drive or CD drive in the 5 1/4 inch slot, and they had these metal braces across the front of it, and you'd kind of twist until the little metal bits would break, and then you'd take it out, and that was pure sheet metal, razor sharp. And sometimes there was bits inside the case that you had to do the same thing. I remember once I was kind of doing the twisty thing, and then I felt it go, and I'm like, okay, and then I had to push it a little bit, and I just pushed inside, and I just felt this slice of some metal just sliced right down into my finger. And there was no pain at the time. I just the sensation of being just cutting into my skin almost to the bone. I pulled my finger out and I grabbed it, and I was like, there's no pain. It's okay. I think there's no pain. And I looked at it. There's the pain. Oh, those days are long gone. Look how easy this is. You just pull this down, just open up this door, and then you can access the inside. Oh, the door even lifts up to come off permanently. Look at that. Look how easy that is. All right, this is in my way. This case actually comes with 3 of their RGB fans, but only 3 at the front. And then I bought 3 more, and I've already mounted them at the top and at the back. I mean, a case that doesn't come with an exhaust fan at the back, that's crazy. Anyway, I guess the air's going to fly out eventually anyway. So the reason I went with this case is because it's an open grill design at the front and a lot of good airflow. Going with air cooling and some high-end components that get a bit hot, I wanted to make sure I had really good airflow and not too noisy too, because this is going to be my main computer for everything. So I didn't want a lot of noise. So let's just panel. Okay, so let's get that heavy thing into this case. Okay. Already you can see these cables here are going to be a little bit of a problem. There's the power cable for the CPU. I'll try and shove them between these 2 fans because it's going to... it's the worst sound when a cable starts hitting a fan. Sounds like the computer's about to blow up, and no, I won't make that sound again, no matter how much you ask. That's in. All right, so get some screws, screwdriver, magnetic screwdriver. Oh, losing screws, it's annoying. And bolt it in. You can tell it's been a long time since I built a computer, because, apart from the one I built last week, because it didn't just be as complicated with the screws that the case comes with. There used to be 2 types of screws. The ones that mounted hard drives, and then the ones that did everything else. And this has got these weird... You can see, no, you can't see. They've got a thread and then they've got nothing. It's like I don't think it's for mounting a motherboard, because I tried these last time on the other one and... Oh, it does work. Raised. Oh, I guess there's no harm in it being raised. I'm sure they're the wrong ones. They're probably for, I don't know, it looks like it's for going through sort of thick metal. I'll try a different one, because there's more of them. Okay, there's these 2 little screws, but one's got a really fine thread and one's got a not so fine thread. I don't know if there's enough these not so fine thread ones, because I know it's not the fine thread for mounting on the motherboard. Well, that cross-threaded, so that's bad. Oh, for goodness sake. I don't think that's the right one. You know, that's not the right one. Is that fine thread one? Okay. It's the little fine thread one. Because I know it's not the fine thread for mounting on the motherboard. It's not the fine thread. Not the fine thread. It took longer than it needed to just to find which screw it is. So what's the point of those other ones? Where did that go? Ah, the side. I thought it went in. It's the worst. Everything's black. You drop a screw in, it's all black. I'll find it. Okay, so that's not going in. Did I get the thick thread one? Yep. Fine thread. I know it's not the fine thread one. Is that case actually even going to close? Wow. Just. It's a good thing this is a very, very wide case, because that would just stick. You could have to leave the side of the case off if this was just a normal width case. Another cool feature of this motherboard is it's got a USB-C header on the motherboard, so I can put it to the top of this case, but the case doesn't actually come with that. You have to buy it separately, which I will do because it's so useful just being able to plug in USB-C straight on the front of the case. Okay, now we're going to plug in all of the front panel power switches, that kind of stuff. And no, that's 3. This is, I gotta say, MSI, this is just really, really bad labeling and connection setup. Motherboards have always had just a little color coding, like purple for reset and blue for power or something, and then with a plus minus. This has got nothing. And I'm going to look in the manual, line that up. It's actually that way. So power switch, hard disk. At least that's consistent. That's exactly like that's what they normally are, which I don't get. Seeing as this layout is very consistent, why don't the cases just come with one plug that just goes over bang? And then if the motherboard has some stupid layout where it doesn't match, you could take it off that thing, but instead you don't get that. You get this mess of little connectors. What have I got here? Power LED, power switch, reset, and no hard drive LED. Huh. I like the little hard drive flashy LED. Not going to have that on this case. Okay. So, power LED. Oh gosh. So they're backwards. See, this is impossible. It should just be one plug. I can't see a thing. it's time for phone torch. One of the worst parts of building a system. The next is just about to come. It's also the kind of stuff that you do now, and then when you turn it on, it doesn't work, and you unplug it all, trying to figure out what's wrong. You don't plug it back in until you've got everything sorted. I can't believe that took that long. What I might do now is get the power supply in, get all the power cables routed and plug it onto the motherboard, and then we can fire it up. We just got one more big component to stick in. Okay, so the power supply I got is the Corsair RM850. It's a gold rated power supply, and I went with 850 because of the Threadripper using quite a lot of power, and also the graphics card is quite power hungry. So I wanted to have enough, no, that's not right, it goes in this way. I want to have enough juice to be able to power everything. It's so funny, there's so many different power supplies you can get these days, and lots of brands and everything. I remember power supplies just weren't a consideration. You would rock up, buy a case. The cases weren't really a consideration either. They were all just this beige thing, and it's fun getting that in. And it would come with a power supply, a 300 watts, 350 watts, something like that. And it's some no-name brand, no one cared, and that was that. Now there's a million brands, different options, gold rated, platinum rated, all this stuff. And I went with this particular one, as opposed to all the other brands, because it came with free shipping. So I think that's as good a reason as any to choose a power supply. Let's screw that in. Alright, oh boy, that's... Oh, I missed one. A hard drive one. Oh. Well, that's some quality. You noticed, didn't you? You noticed, you saw me do it, and you didn't say anything. Nobody said anything, you just let me go ahead and do it. I forgot to put the backplate on. It's really annoying. I'm not going to stop now and put it on. I want to get power into it and see if this thing posts. And then if it does post, I have to take out all of those motherboard screws, stick this on, and then put it all back in again. That's not too big a job. I just don't want to stop now, because I really want to see if this thing actually works. You know why I didn't do it? Because the other motherboard I got for the Ryzen 3700X had a backplate built onto the motherboard. You didn't have to do the backplate, which is pretty cool. Okay, I'm going to clear some space, clear all this garbage off this table, and put the last piece in and fire this thing up. Alright, so I did say I'm building my ultimate video editing and software development PC, and it couldn't really be ultimate without the ultimate graphics card, the RTX3090. Now, I chose this particular card because I wanted it to be the... No, actually, this is all you can get. You can get this, or you can get maybe a 3060... Yeah, maybe. Or older. So I couldn't get a 3070, I couldn't get a 3080, definitely can't get a 3080. And this is one of the cheapest 3090s I could get. It's a lot of money for a graphics card. But, actually, I didn't want it to be ultimate. I wanted a 3080. You just cannot buy them, and I wasn't going to wait any longer. So let's stick this in and power it up, and let's see if we have a computer. Now we'll see if this actually fits beside this cooler. Look at that. See if that backplate's an issue, because if it is, we'll have to put it in a different slot. Take the little protective cover off. What it's not going to do is fit in this case with this bracket, which thankfully comes off. All the cables are fed through that bracket. So I'm going to have to take, yes, everything out of the motherboard again. Why are the power connectors so stiff? Oh, and of course the worst one. Well, I should have routed all of those under the motherboard anyway. So that serves me right for poor cable management. Oh, and the cable management, cable ties actually attached to that thing. That was a pain in the neck, but it is actually better cably managed now. And we should be able to fit that graphics card on. This plate was the issue. It's for cable management, you put the cables through here, but it sits up so high that the graphics card can't fit. There. Okay. Graphics card needs a bit of power. Oh, Doesn't need two of those, just the one. Moment of truth time. Will it post? I'm going to get a monitor, a keyboard and mouse, plug in some power, and turn it on. Pretty much every time I get to this step, it doesn't work for whatever reason. RAM's dodgy, something's graphics card's dead, something, motherboard's dead. I've had all sorts of issues over the years. And let's see what happens this time. All right, we're gonna hit the power button. And the one good thing about this motherboard is that, get my face in the light, that's pretty bad lighting. It has a postcode on it, so if there is anything wrong, it should tell us what's wrong. I've had other motherboards, no beeps, nothing, just not show anything up. So this should be a bit better. Oh, we got something. Numbers are good. The fans are coloured. 15, it's stuck on 15, I don't know what that means. All right, it's going through the numbers. C8, oh, the lights are changing colours together. That's cool. Oh, it's rebooting. 60, we got up to 60. I don't know if that's good. 27, 0, 3E, 68, 14, back to 14, 15, 14, 15. I think there's something wrong. I have to see what 14 and 15 mean. System is in entering sleep state. Entering sleep state. Okay, 02 doesn't appear to be an error. It appears to be the computer's gone to sleep. So I think it turns out that it was a dodgy HDMI cable. So, like I said, it never works the first time. Doesn't necessarily mean there's something wrong with the computer. The front fans aren't spinning. The back ones are. I think there's some connectors there, obviously, that need connecting. But we have a BIOS. So that's it. Okay, well, that wasn't a complete disaster. The computer is actually running, and we have post. So I'm now going to fiddle around with the settings and see that we've got everything we should, and then stick in a USB and try and install Windows. They actually did buy, as I said, some more things to go in this. We've got this card, and I've got to put the 4 M.2s in it and set up that RAID. I also will install this 10 gig NIC. It's funny, like years ago you used to get NICs. Because networking just didn't come on the motherboard, and for years now networking's just been on the motherboard, and this has network on it, but not 10 gigabit. So I will stick that in. I don't have a 10 gigabit switch yet, but I guess I'll get one now, seeing as I have this. I've also got these Seagate Iron Wolf 8 terabyte drives. I got 2 of them, 16 terabyte total. I'll stick it in RAID 0. And the reason I got Iron Wolf NAS drives is because this computer is basically going to be left on permanently, and I wanted good quality drives that can handle being left on and running for a long time. These are just going to be long-term storage, so videos that are completed, images, projects that I'm not working on. So I'll be using the RAID 0 M.2s for the working drive, and this will be long-term storage. So I'll get those in, and then I'll do another video on the performance of this machine. But for now, game over, boys.